Welcome back to another Game Time Discussions podcast. My name is Emery Cuzzy, and I'm sitting here with Cameron Selby. And today we're going to be doing a Underdog Best Ball 1.0. We've done our DraftKings 1.0, so go check that out. We're going to continue putting out more DraftKings and Underdog, of course. But some of the differences between Underdog and DraftKings, Underdog is a half-point PPR instead of the full-point PPR. So that makes running backs a little bit, very
in
little.
addition to no bonuses as well.
Right.
So
Yeah, so basically on DraftKings, if you go over 100 yards receiving, rushing, 300 yards passing, you get 3 extra points. So you won't get those bonuses here on Underdog, which makes it a little bit more straightforward when you're just thinking about how to draft. And running backs become a little bit more important because of that.
And in addition to it, also it's 18 picks, not 20. So
Right.
smaller bench, but that's okay. We're still going to make it. But it's still the same premise of 1 quarterback, 2 running backs. This one's still 3 receivers, tight end, flex, and then 10 bench spots. So a lot of fun. I like Underdog because they constantly fill contests and then re-put new ones out. So this $3 Pomeranian just came out this week, and it's already 45% filled. So when it fills up, you're not in the same competition against guys that draft in September.
Right.
It's all people who drafted in May. And then first place for this $3, 20 grand. Hopefully that's us.
Yeah, so looking at the draft board, we didn't get to star like we talk about doing prior to the draft because it started right away. I mean, they were moving, filled really quick, but we're pick 9. And as you can see, Christian McCaffrey first, like it's been, and then a couple 3 running wide receivers, couple running backs, and then it's about to be us up here in a second.
And I like being towards one way or the other in the draft, but have people in between because you can strategize between. So there's 3 guys. So if we're targeting a tight end at some point and 3 people have tight end all picked out, so that could be our guy. So we have 30 seconds to start off.
We get these 3 wide receivers. Probably one of them is probably the guy we want to go with. I kind of lean Puka or Garrett Wilson here.
Yeah, I would say let's go Garrett Wilson.
Okay, so I'll star him so we can see it.
Yeah.
And then our next pick will be number 16. So we can go.
That's a beautiful range of
let's go check
running
it out.
backs. So yeah, let's check out the big board because it's slightly different than DraftKings Best Ball.
So right here in this range, you get Jonathan Taylor, Saquon, and then you might go receiver if you want to. I'm surprised Brandon Ayuk is 11.
Yeah, with half PPR, I don't think it's as much of a or a common priority for our strategy to go double receiver as it would be in DraftKings because PPR and then also the 100-yard bonuses for 3 points. So that's going to be more common in receivers.
Right.
So,
and also, I don't necessarily love the receivers next. I don't think that Brandon Ayuk, Chris Olave. I like Devontae Adams, but we don't know about the quarterback situation. Debo, that whole San Francisco offense is a little weird for us.
Yeah, I just think the perfect start is one of the running backs. It looks like Taylor was picked. So
yeah,
we
Barkley's
can
there. We can
go Barkley. We start off strong, 2 different buys, 2 high-scoring offenses. So
yeah, and there we go. So we get Barkley. Our next pick will be.
I'm actually surprised that Barkley's not going at the 1-2 turn in the half PPR just because of the namesake. Last year he was going basically at that same spot, and it was with one of the worst offenses. So now he's in Philly. I just figured that the hype would be higher, and maybe it does rise that high. But currently we were able to get him in the middle of the second.
And so kind of strategizing, thinking about why certain receivers will go higher. When you think about receivers in half-point PPR, you want the guys that are going to normally go for bigger catches, longer yards, not necessarily the guy that's going to catch the ball 3 yards from the line of scrimmage and fall down, because the difference is, a whole half a point. So that's kind of why you see like guys like I was looking right here, Malik Neighbors is higher than I expected him to be at 28. Well, a lot of people believe that when he catches the ball, he's going to get the yak.
Right.
So that's kind of something we look at. Deebo Samuel, I thought he would have been over Brandon Ayuk almost because of the fact that he is the yak guy on that team. But yeah, so just kind of strategizing why. And then also, like we said earlier, running backs are important.
Yeah. So with this kind of range coming up, I still never like, for the most part, having 2 of your first 3 picks being running backs, even if it's half PPR. we got to fill out 3 receiver spots.
Yeah,
So it's really important to get as many top end wide receivers as you can, and then start filling out because there's a ton of depth in the late or in the middle 8th to 10th rounds at running backs.
right.
So we'll probably be targeting receiver here. Let's see who kind of the best available are.
Some of the receivers that we're probably going to be looking at: Devontae Smith, Michael Pittman, DK, Cooper Kupp, Zay Flowers, and then I don't believe that these guys will probably fall to us, but if they do, we will also be able to talk about them: Stephon Diggs, Malik Neighbors, and Devontae Smith.
I do find it interesting how Stephon Diggs in a lot of rankings is lower than Nico.
I agree.
They brought him in. It isn't to be a wide receiver 2 when he was complaining about not enough touches as the clear cut wide receiver 1
Right.
in Buffalo. So if he is going to work out, it's because he's going to have 100 catches and 12 to 1400 yards. And if he doesn't work out, then you probably shouldn't have been drafting him anyways.
Right.
At
One-
any range.
One thing before this pick even goes off the board, one thing I'm happy about is that we get the opportunity to possibly pick Cooper Kupp. We could have gone Puka in the first round, and that
then
would
it
have
would've
taken away the reason to take Cooper Kupp.
And then it would have just vaulted Matthew Stafford up our rankings,
Yeah,
maybe reluctantly.
next round. No, I'm just kidding, but but a lot, yes.
So
Oh, well, there he goes. So now we get one of these two guys here. I'm higher on Pittman, but this is half point PPR, so DK probably has more upside, higher
Right.
ceiling. But this is a safer. We might want to go safer here. It's up. What do you think?
yeah, I would. I think this is also a good range to.
Got 7 seconds.
Let's go with. We'll go Michael Pitt. That's
Okay.
fine. Don't love the Week 14 bye, but sometimes you're gonna just have to eat that if you like Houston, Baltimore, Indy players.
Yeah,
Washington.
I completely
also,
agree.
And then coming on this turn, I expect a couple of these quarterbacks to go off. If not, it'd be interesting to maybe target one of them.
Yeah. Looking at there goes Josh Allen. But looking at like the guys that we have between us, one running back, one wide receiver, one running back, one right. You know what I mean?
So usually one of my preferred strategies is going, 3 of your first 4 picks being wide receiver, or a 2-2-1 running back, and then either a tight end or a quarterback.
Right.
But since it's half PPR, Travis Etienne speaks to me a little bit. High volume guy.
Completely agree.
It'd be a different buy as well. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards.
Josh Jacobs
as well.
We just went off the board. This guy has no running back, so we'll see what he does, and we'll see what we kind of have left over
And
after.
Travis Kelce, you haven't been able to draft him in the 4th round for about 8 years now.
Man, there he goes. But I'm happy with that. I am happy with Etienne. I think that's a really good pick. He's one of the guys that if I'm going to play in the running back dead zone, him and Josh Jacobs are the only guys that I'm really confident and comfortable with. So
if we end up going Etienne, obviously different buys with Saquon, and we don't have to target running back for a very long time, and we can just build out a well-balanced roster.
Right. Absolutely. Lots of wide receivers, tight ends, and quarterbacks.
And then also remember, we're talking about handcuffs, backups that walk into volume. Philly, I think it's kind of murky because they just kind of have a plethora of guys, and I don't really know. There's not a sample size with last year it being DeAndre Swift or the year before being Miles Sanders, both of them productive, but there wasn't like a month stretch where either went down and we saw what happened with those.
Right, absolutely.
But we have seen Saquon miss a month here and there for the majority of his career. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't pick him because one of the years where he was 1 overall, he missed 3 weeks and he was RB10 because of it. But if you had him and went to the playoffs, he had 3 straight weeks of 20-plus points.
He was
so
the guy.
He helped win you your championship if you had him on the team and you could weather the storm. I think it was week 4 to week 6. But with that being said, Travis Etienne, high hog volume. But if he goes down, he does have an injury history. Missed his entire rookie season with a foot injury. Tank Bigsby is the next guy up. Nobody's going to be drafting him. He's a 19th round pick on DraftKings. I would anticipate he'd be there with our last pick being 18 as well.
One thing I was going to say, of course, I completely agree with everything you said about Travis Etienne and Tanks Bigsby. Our next pick could be our stack, just putting it out there. 57th, Anthony Richardson kind of fits into that range. I don't know how you feel about him. I know that his injuries are a little scary.
It's just we have a true only 2 full game sample size of him.
Yeah.
But again, we have an opportunity to take him and then have another really solid quarterback, and then we're just letting him split weeks.
Mhm.
Patrick Mahomes is still on the board. We could be stacking him as well. CJ Stroud obviously won't be able to stack, but
Right.
and then also, we're looking at best available receivers. This is an interesting range for tight ends if you have one. Let's see who are some of the best available for tight end.
Kyle Pitts, George
Kyle Pitts, George Kittle.
Kittle,
So it
Evan
looks like
Ingram.
McBride and Kincaid, who I love a lot, are going like late fourth, early fifth. So I
Mhm.
was seeing if there was either one of those was going to fall. Obviously, that did not happen. Um, and then also, I believe 2 quarterbacks went in between us. Is that correct? With
Yes.
our picks. So when you're talking about quarterback, right? If you have like the set Anthony Richardson, but CJ Stroud's on the board, we don't have to worry about not getting one of them
Right.
because very unlikely either of those guys that already selected quarterback are going to go one again.
Yeah, only one person between us doesn't have quarterback.
Exactly. And so with Anthony Richardson, he's behind CJ Stroud.
Two people.
So it's
Sorry.
very likely.
Apologies.
Okay.
2 people, yeah. My bad.
Either way. But thinking about those things when you're kind of straddling a couple guys, pause. Um, so yeah, I think probably quarterback is one of our 2 selections here.
I'd
And
love to
then,
get Keenan Allen.
yeah, Keenan Allen as a 5th or 6th rounder is really nice as well. That's
It's,
probably my preference at the moment.
yeah, let's put him up there. But just looking at it, I don't think so. This guy right before us, James Cook, he had 4 receivers, 3 receivers, and a tight end for this guy. No running backs. So I'm expecting them to want to target running back. I don't expect them to do a full 0 RB strategy with God dog it. Of course I say that. And he's gone. So Keenan Allen off the board. Now we have to kind of pivot. I mean, Anthony Richardson's there. We could get him.
Who are some of the best receivers available?
Calvin Ridley, Rome.
Okay, so there's a big drop off. So
Yeah, we'll
probably
get.
don't need to do that with their first pick. So quarterback is probably our preference.
Yeah, let's go with Anthony Richardson. Get the stack.
Yeah. And we actually have CJ Stroud higher, but again, we're trying to follow the rules. We aren't able to stack anybody unless we went Dalton Schultz with our tight end too.
Yeah.
I'd rather just go ahead and go with Anthony Richardson. They have the same buy. It doesn't really matter in that regard. And then if you're not confident he's going to stay healthy, take his backup, which at this point is Joe
Flacco. Yeah. So we see Terry McLaurin, Rome. So wide receiver is being just attacked right now.
So looking back on it, it's already kind of like, man, we should have gone receiver with our last one, even though we did like the ETN pick and the value we got, just because, we don't love the next available receivers.
But tight end might be an option.
Tight end
here.
might be that's where I was about to go. Tight end might be the way to go just because there's a huge drop off in receiver, and then we'll just have to just load up.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
the middle rounds.
Which it's okay because wide receivers in the later rounds have shown really good upside. They've won leagues, so Puka, Tank Dell, those guys. We love getting those guys, and I think I'm not going to say it this time.
Well, this guy has already taken the tight end, so I doubt that he will be going
Travis
that way
Kelce
again.
I believe Kenneth Walker off the board.
So yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll go with Kyle Pitts. Obviously, we view George Kittle as a more talented tight end, but he has weeks where he goes 2 catches for 4 yards, like in the Super Bowl, and it's a little frustrating. It's fine for best ball because you're just looking for 6-7 weeks, and he averaged about 15 a game. But Kyle Pitts has, I think, a floor now that he has Kirk Cousins at the helm.
Yeah, I completely agree. Looking at our next pick, that was 64, so we'll get all the way to 81, and we'll probably look for a receiver. So let's go look.
Yeah, I would purely just look at receiver, not any other position.
I love the receivers in that range, so don't worry about it.
So if we're looking at a secondary stack, Brian Thomas and Trevor Lawrence, and basically get a double because we will also have ETN. That's perfectly fine in best ball if you're just looking for good players and good offenses.
Yeah, always pick talent, guys. I'm very big on that. Talent will win at the end of the day.
Deontay Johnson's one of the lowest wide receiver ones on his respective team.
Right.
Being the 4th wide receiver on our team would be fine. But then also, since we are in half PPR, maybe a running back is there. But I just anticipate probably our preferences. One of these or 2 receivers.
I wouldn't expect Alvin Kamara to fall to us. That's all I'm saying.
If he does, that kind of changes up what we're probably going to be doing.
Yeah.
just because there make no sense to
He's
for him
gone.
to fall that.
He's gone. We're good.
That's fine.
Don't even have to make that choice. But yeah, so yeah, we have our team is here. I can actually show you over here. Kyle Pitts, MPJ, Garrett Wilson, Travis Etienne, Saquon, Anthony Richardson. I think we have a lot of talent, to say the
Right.
least. I mean, there's a lot of really good football players over there, so I feel confident in all of those guys. We still got a few picks left. A bunch of running backs going off the board. Ramondre's there. I'm
Chris
sure.
Godwin's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't expect him to fall, but if he did, again, that would kind of switch up our thought process.
Right.
Because we do like him. He's on our
He's gone.
fantasy winner list, so we do enjoy his late season matchups, especially if somebody like Mike Evans went down and he's really the only guy
Absolutely.
left standing.
And you want some Jalen McMillan too, don't you forget about him. Kate Otten possibly. Evan Ingram. Let's see. Still got all the wide receivers. It's going to be a run on wide receivers here in a second.
Yeah.
But if you look, we have some teams with only one running back, no tight end,
So guys in between us, every single one of them have at least 4 receivers other than one.
Yeah.
Which he may or may not. He's probably going to go receiver, but he's in a spot where he can go best available. The next 3 guys have already gone 4 receivers or more.
Mm-hmm.
One of them went 5, so I would anticipate them probably going another direction.
D-Hop there. 5 receivers, no, 1 tight end, no running backs. He's going to have a hard time finding running backs at this point. Mm-hmm. So let's see what.
Yeah, that's the true 0 RB.
Yeah,
but if you're going 0 RB and you wait this long to take a quarterback, I think that's a little.
Yeah, that's not necessarily my favorite.
Doing a disservice, but again, Joe Burrow or Kyler as your quarterback 1 is very reasonable as well. So, which he went Joe Burrow.
So we get to pick basically between Jackson Smith-Njigba and Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, which
let me go to just wide receivers.
We know exactly who we're going on that. Who are the best running backs available? Because we know we're going with Mr. JSN.
Jonathan Brooks, Najee. Yeah, so basically, never mind. Let's go back.
Jonathan Brooks just went out.
Yeah, which one would
would
you rather have, Cameron?
Definitely Jason.
Okay.
He's actually higher ADP by about a round and a half here compared to DraftKings, which is interesting.
It's probably what I expect, but DraftKings is PPR, and I think JSN's going to be a 6 to 10 yard target kind of guy. Mm-hmm. So it is surprising, like you said, but I do think it's the better pick. We're not going the Rashee Rice way, guys. Just so everybody knows, we're going to stay away.
Yeah, it's just too much uncertainty and added competition for targets.
Mm-hmm. Let's check our buys.
Okay. So I actually don't love the next available. If Deontay is there, I'm perfectly fine. I jinxed it. Cortland Sutton we like as like a wide receiver 5, but wide receiver 4 is kind of a little rich. Let's see who are the best available running backs.
Najee Harris,
okay.
Jalen Warren, Zach Moss. Not really my favorite grouping.
Yeah, this is gonna be an awkward.
Yeah, we're gonna have to reach for sure on this pick, but that's okay.
Either that, or we can just go ahead and knock out our
tight ends.
Tight ends, because again, once you get 2 in the same range, and looks like 1 fell to us, and so we wouldn't have to address tight end the rest of the draft. Well, actually, no, we can't do that because he has the same buy as Kyle Pitts.
Oh no, you're right. Where would you like to go otherwise?
Let's
run back. We can go Jalen Warren. We gotta do it quick though.
Yeah, let's do Jalen Warren.
Okay.
Uncomfortably.
Yeah, I agree. We'll just, but it's okay. Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to go Evan Ingram. Unfortunately, like you said, week 12 buys. We got to check that. I'm glad you caught that because that would have been interesting later on. Let's see what let's see. Let's go over here and check what the people between us have done. So we're at 105. Pretty balanced. No tight end, but balanced. Okay, so everybody's kind of thinking the same way between us. Not really sure what they're going to do. Let's go back over to what everybody else.
What is the ADPs of like the Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herberts of the world?
119, 128.
Okay, so we could probably wait after these next two to
Yeah.
address our backup quarterback.
Let's see. And then to stack, let's see. We could stack Kirk Cousins. Jets. I don't know. We'll see on that. The backups, the second stack. We'll check. We'll try to figure that out here in a second. But looking at it, Evan
Brock
Ingram
Bowers
finally went off the
well,
board.
that's awkward.
What?
That's fine. Brock Bowers is still there.
Yeah, guy we like a lot. He should step in and unfortunately be the Raiders' number one tight end, even though we just picked tight end. We're gonna have the best tight end tandem in a couple of years you'll ever seen. Looks
But I
like
don't expect him to, come out the gate with 80 catches. Like he's a guy that's going to have like 50 catches,
yeah,
60 catches, but 800 yards, and then also 20 carries
yeah. It's gonna be.
and
We're gonna do
probably
weird.
about 6, 7, 8 touchdowns.
We're gonna do some weird things.
So, but again, that's enough to get you as a top 6, 7 tight end, which is why he's higher in our rankings than everybody else right now.
Yeah, I think I can't. Let me see if I can check. No, it's not going to allow me to. But yeah,
It looks
he's
like
definitely higher.
he has the chance to fall to us for our second tight end. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close. Wide receiver wise, Curtis Samuel, who I think could be, their gadget guy. I think he's obviously going to be better than Shakur.
Is him and Shakir going the same range? So if you have a stand on one,
I'm definitely stand on Curtis Samuel.
Yeah.
I love his talent. But it looks like the wide receivers are going to be things we're going to have to pick and choose really carefully.
Yeah. So I think probably the best route on these picks is tight end because there's still Goddard, Njoku, and our boy Brock Bowers, and then Curtis Samuel would be a preference as well. I would probably who in between us. It looks like everybody's done one tight end.
Well, yeah, we just lost a tight end, two tight ends back to back. Njoku and Bowers both just went.
Dadgummit.
One tight end has not been picked, so I'm expecting him to go tight end. I'm okay with going Goddard.
Goddard here. And then, because, and again, this is why you look in between because there's a guy in between us that still is not taking the tight end, and Goddard is really the last guy. If you wanted to throw in Hawkinson, but he is going to miss some time, so it'd be a preference to go with somebody like Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, looks like Goddard did fall to us. Obviously, I didn't think the other guy was going to go with him, so we'll get him, and then hopefully on our next turn, we will see some running backs go off the board before us, and then we can possibly get Curtis Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Williams, how do you feel? How do you feel about him? You hate him? Too high?
He is, way too high. He's off of torn ACL. He's 30 now. Aaron Rodgers hasn't really had a track record of just having multiple receivers be high-end fantasy options.
Right.
Again, this is best ball, so it's different. Mike Williams probably wouldn't be drafted in a redraft unless it's like the 15th round and it's just name value. But I would never start him. Obviously, we don't have to in this style of drafting. I just don't see any upside. Plus, Malachi Corley, we like as a gadget receiver.
Right.
I just think it's the Garrett Wilson show, and then when it's not Garrett Wilson, it's Breece Hall.
Yeah, absolutely. Those two are going to get, 50, 60% of the touches.
Yeah, and that it's warranted that both of them are being first-round picks right now.
Absolutely. There goes Curtis Samuel off the board. Big running back range. We can obviously still pivot. I'm not going to have very many lines with Shakur, so it might be okay to get some of him.
Rashid Shaheed is one of those guys that will have the occasional 3 for 90 and a score.
Yep. Could be. He'll be in your lineup a couple times, and you'll be happy about it.
And I believe, wouldn't be opposed to him.
Let's see what everybody else decides to
do. Josh
do.
Palmer is actually lower than I expected him to be.
Yeah, we might. We're 112 here. 129.
So you said that Justin Herbert's ADP was like around 128, right?
Yeah, 128.
So an idea is maybe going Josh Palmer and then on the turn picking Justin Herbert as our QB2.
I like that a lot.
I believe he's a week 5 bye.
Yes.
It'd be different from our week 14 bye, and obviously you have a potential for a wide receiver 1.
I'm more excited about Josh Palmer than any of the guys above him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I like Jacoby Meyer, but he...
And we've seen the track record of Josh Palmer doing well from a fantasy perspective without Mike Williams and or Keenan Allen in the lineup. Obviously, last year he won us some money.
He seems like
in
a
regular
high
drafts.
upside guy for sure.
Exactly. So we'll go ahead and go with him as a wide receiver 4. Is probably more comfortable as a wide receiver 5, but we're just making do with what we got, and then we'll just kind of have to go heavier on receiver.
Yeah, because we have three really good running backs, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion. So I'm pretty comfortable with running back. Reluctantly having to take Jalen Warren actually makes me feel a little bit better now
Mm-hmm.
than it did when we did it. Tight end, I feel really confident in. I don't think we have to take another tight
Exactly.
end. So it's wide receiver, backup second quarterback, and run from there, basically.
And then also it kind of propels. It's interesting and it's uncomfortable to say because he just had such a awful rookie year. But Quinn Johnston,
Yeah, absolutely.
he is a former first round pick that is 23 years old,
That we
and
liked. I mean,
we
we didn't dislike it coming out.
exactly we thought he would be the replacement for Mike Williams, and he had the opportunity to do it, and he literally dropped it.
Let's see where
So,
he's.
but being able to hypothetically, if Justin Herbert fell to us, take him, but getting a double stack with him, he provides more value. And then if we're wrong about Josh Palmer or Josh Palmer goes down, then that's just more possibility for production from Quinn Johnston.
Yeah, he's 143. It's going to be an awkward range. We'll probably have to hope he drops to us, basically.
And I just don't view that he's a guy that somebody's going to overdraft.
Right.
So
Completely
very,
agree.
very possible for him to fall. But yeah, it looks like I guess what is that fourth tier of quarterbacks? It's very interesting that they're going this late. Like the Trevor Lawrences and Justin Herbert start going off the board right around 105 to 115, and we could have both of them be available at 128. So
Yeah, and
kind of a little bit of a
they
difference in strategy on those two
and
platforms.
they both have high upside.
Hmm.
And especially when you think about this platform, I think that Justin Herbert, he has to, of course, they have to throw the ball
Hmm.
there, and he has to score touchdowns. That's how you get upside on Underdog. So that's what we're hoping for, of course. But I don't see that not being a possibility.
And then also Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And we already have Kyle Pitts, so that's a stack option as well as a backup. And we may be able to wait for our second pick on the turn. We might have to, or we might be able to wait on the second one for the turn to be able to take him. And again, I'm not entirely confident that he'll stay healthy
Mm-hmm.
or be what he is, but I do know that if Michael Penix were to step in, the offense would remain the same in terms of production.
Right.
So, and nobody is drafting Michael Penix in the top 20 rounds of best ball. So if we have an 18-round draft, he will obviously be available. He would be a last pick if we went that route.
One thing I'm a little worried about is there's a guy with no quarterbacks right before us, so that scares me a little bit.
Something fun. I did not notice that Nick Chubb's still on the board.
He is. He's just kind of hanging out.
And so we have two guys in between us of the three that have already taken two quarterbacks as well.
Yeah,
So
he went off the board. Our quarterback went off
yeah,
the board
that's
there.
fine.
So
I like Nick Chubb as a running back 4.
that's a really good late option. We're gonna
I
have
would
to.
have liked Zeke here or Eckler, considering we're basically 130. But Nick Chubb being your running back 4, and then also that opens up Jerome Ford. I don't know exactly where his ADP is, but it's not before Nick Chubb. So following rounds, we'll look for him and maybe do that handcuff situation. I like that a lot.
So I started Xavier Legette on the next round.
Okay.
Currently we don't have a backup quarterback, so we do have a high end quarterback, but the problem is we don't know if he's going to be healthy. So we're probably going to need 3 quarterbacks, or be very confident in our next one.
So I think because we already have Kyle Pitts, Kirk Cousins, we're not going to get a ton of him this year because there's so many quarterbacks we like that have week 12 buys that we prefer. And obviously, you don't want to have the same buy if you're just going 2 quarterbacks in this kind of draft. Our quarterback is a week 14 buy. That opens the door for him. We already have the stack. So that would give us 2 stacks. And then if he fell, then we could probably hold off, in my eyes.
Yeah, I was going to say too, Xavier Legette was going to be one of the guys that's still on the board.
Look
for our
up
next
the
pick.
ADP for Jerome Ford.
135.
135. Okay, so we'd have to basically take him now.
Yeah, he's right here.
I don't want to take a 5th running back before 5 receivers. So
Right. I get you. Let's see. Yeah, definitely not. Even on this platform, I still think, wide receiver is still going to be the position of need because everybody targets it. I feel confident in tight ends. Need to get better receivers, but I feel really confident in running backs. Need a backup quarterback.
Yeah, we're about to go on a run of receivers once we get our backup quarterback. So
that's what I was trying to say. Right here in this range, you can either get Kirk Cousins or Xavier Leggett. I'm guessing we're going to have to go Kirk Cousins, unfortunately.
Well, if we don't, we're going to have to take 3 quarterbacks. Well, I mean, we're going to take Penix if we take Kirk Cousins, but we would have to take 3 different starting quarterbacks if, we went that route. And then what are the best available quarterbacks?
Right now, we have, on the start you, so you're not in my way. Baker, Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun, Geno, Will Levis.
Yeah, I'd say let's go Kirk.
Okay. And we'll just let that time run out then. And then our next pick, we're 153.
And another thing I like about being able to filter just straight up position, so instead of there just being a flex option, which takes out the quarterback, since we don't have to take tight end, you can uncheck the blue for the tight end, and
the other way,
and we can
like that.
Yeah, do that, and we're pretty set. Honestly, for quarterback, you can uncheck it as well because
for a while
we don't have to pick Penix until the 18th round, and no one's going to pick him.
Let me just star him so I don't forget.
Yep.
Okay.
So
let's see. So 153, average draft position in this area with these rookies. All these rookies. Oh my gosh, there's just 5 of them in a row, 6 almost. But yeah, so we're gonna get in that range. I think that there's some guys in here that could fall. I can't believe Ricky Pearsall is so high. Kendre Miller, could be a guy that falls to us. So we'll just see what happens. We still have some picks before that. Couple quarterbacks, we got the four running backs that we're pretty confident in. We might get a 5th later on, maybe.
We probably will be able to get away with just 6 running backs in this draft, which is completely fine.
I think we could get away with 5, especially because there's only 18 rounds.
Well,
so
it just kind of depends on what you want to do with the handcuffs. If you
right.
want Tank Bigsby, obviously that's a late round target in my eyes. Pittsburgh, there's not really one. Drumford obviously just went, and then if you have a stand on like Will Shipley or Kenneth Gainwell for Philly, that would be an idea as well.
Yeah, and then
but those guys aren't going undrafted. Those are actually going in like the 15th, 16th rounds, I believe.
Yeah, and then looking at wide receiver, I mean, we have to go wide receiver.
Yeah, we have to go like 3 straight receivers,
which is fine. We're not really worried about that. Let's see.
We'll probably end up with a 3 quarterback, 2 tight end. Is that 5, and then 8 receivers, 13, and then 5 running backs.
Yeah, so 18.
Probably the strategy we'll do.
That's at the very least the idea.
At the very least, a 7-6 split in favor of wide receiver in terms over running backs, but likely we're probably going to need to go 8 receivers.
I didn't realize how fast the underdog drafts go, because at this point we're 13 rounds deep, and out of 18 rounds, it's only been 35 minutes. That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You can knock them out in no time. But looking at the board, if you were just looking at wide receiver, Ricky Pearsall, that's crazy ADP.
If you want them, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a crazy ADP. Jermaine Burton.
We could do a secondary stack with Darnell Mooney, and Kirk Cousins, Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Or if you had a preference of Rondale Moore, he's going at the very end. He's going in the 20th rounds in DraftKings. I'm not exactly sure of his ADP here, but that's just the idea. Again, if you have a stand between Darnell or Rondale Moore, but both former second round picks, new team. Kirk Cousins has a track record of having multiple guys be successful as fantasy players.
He's gone.
Okay.
So that's okay though. We have lots of options. I mean, you have Jermaine Burton down here.
Like him.
Yeah, he's a guy that going to have some opportunities. Troy Franklin, Malachi Corley's a guy we like. Michael Wilson. These are obviously much lower down the board, but
We could very well just get our 5th running back and be done with that
I
position,
I'm okay with that,
and then just
especially with
completely going receiver and then Penix at the end.
Kendra Miller,
Like Kendre a lot.
Kamani Vidal. If we wanted to
Kamani Vidal.
pick a receiver first, we might be able to get him
That's
at
probably going to be
160.
a stack that we do on a lot of best ball drafts. Is Gus Edwards, who we're not the most comfortable with, but we're comfortable with the situation. So him and Kamani Vidal
Mm-hmm.
in a run regime. Don't really have much faith in JK just because of coming off a back-to-back ACL and then Achilles is just absolutely rough.
Black Chili has no quarterbacks still, so he's just
you're gonna run into one of those every now and again.
there. He is.
Wish he was in between.
And then Kendre or Kamani. I'm probably siding with Kendre right now. There's actually no wide receivers in this range.
Yeah, I would just go ahead and let's do Kendre. We're completely done running back, and then you could just be. We can just have an orange receiver and just
let's
pick
go
the best ones.
Yeah, and get. I mean, our stack right now. We're not going to get a secondary stack unless we go with a later round. Rondale Moore, like you said, so we can look at doing that. Let's go see.
Or if you had, where's Josh Downs going?
Gone. He's gone.
He's gone already.
Got it.
Really?
Yeah, he's gone.
No, he's not.
Yeah, that's.
I see.
He's much earlier. You're good.
Okay. I like Pierce, I guess.
But yeah, no, I'm okay.
Yeah.
So okay.
Basically, if we wanted a secondary stack, it would just be Rondale Moore as a pass catcher at this point.
Right.
Give or take, if we are interested in that.
And we're up in on 4 picks, so
but this is kind of where all the rookies start going. You have Malachi and Roman and Jermaine Burton, Troy Franklin, Luke McCaffrey. These guys are going to be going 14th, 15th rounds. So we might be able to grab a couple of those.
Looks like Red Dog sniped these next 2 guys. Neither of these guys. Oh, he's the turn. So Bobby has not gotten a single tight end yet, so he's going to have to figure that out. He has 3 quarterbacks though. So let's see what tight ends he
went 3 quarterbacks.
He did.
Interesting.
Already. So his team.
It's necessary.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We're gonna go 3 quarterbacks, but that's a little different. We're stacking a quarterback.
Exactly.
Let's look at some buys, make sure we're good. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so some week 12s, week 5s, some 14s, but very, very comfortable with the bye week situation. Ben Sinnott, there it is. Got his tight end finally.
But as a tight end 1, good luck with that.
Kamani Vidal
off the board, but it's okay. Who are you leaning receiver wise here?
Michael Wilson, Malachi Corley. Do you like Adam Thielen?
I guess so.
Not that they're not far apart ranking wise.
Not as a wide receiver 5 though.
Right, I agree.
I don't think he has any upside.
But if we go if we go Corley, we're gonna get the Garrett Wilson situation basically.
I would prefer Michael Wilson.
Okay.
Just because, like I said earlier, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a great track record of multiple receivers, at least in recent years since the Jordy Nelson and Greg Jennings of the world. That pairing kind of aged out. It was just Devontae Adams and, enter receiver here. So, yeah, I prefer that route. Michael Wilson versus Zay Jones, if you have a lean on who's going to be the wide receiver too, but he had a decent rookie season. And,
I'm confident. I'm comfortable with him as a player. So that's good, at least. I think that he's a good football player. I like Zay Jones. I mean, he went to Austin High. We're not that far from here. So that's always a thing, you get excited about. But he's probably not the number 2 receiver in that offense is all.
And then kind of next coming up, I'm not huge on Marvin Mims, low passing volume. I like Luke McCaffrey as a slot.
What do you think about Rashad Bateman as our wide receiver 6?
Say Rashad Bateman.
Yeah.
Former first-round pick. Odell Beckham's gone. He's been a disaster, but
he's still.
We're just fishing for opportunity here.
Yeah, and that's a guy
playing with the reigning MVP.
Yeah, and as our wide receiver 6, he's not going to be one of the guys we expect very often to be in there, so that's good. Other guys in here, Zay Jones is there, right there. Mario Douglas. I don't know. Not necessarily my favorite names.
There's Rondell Moore.
There he is, way down there.
So yeah, I would probably lean. I doubt Corley's gonna fall to us.
He's gone.
He's gone. Okay. So basically between Luke McCaffrey or Rashad Bateman.
Yeah.
If you have a preference.
Well, let's hope
Either way, it's a Week 14 bye, but it would only be our second wide receiver with a Week 14 bye.
Yeah, let's hope they get to us because they are the second and third receivers on the board.
Well, considering their ADP is 176, I think there's a solid chance that one of them can fall.
Yeah, right now they're the top 2 receivers. So let's see how many picks are before us. 7 picks away. Rashad Bateman's gone. Let's see whatever. Let's just look at everything. Lots of tight ends and running backs in this range, I guess, are going.
We have already taken our last running back, but Antonio Gibson as the second running back to Ramondre, I think, is a solid.
Yeah, he becomes the
way to go for
James White,
a handcuff.
James White style.
I mean, we saw Ezekiel Elliott, who's never been a true pass catcher, get 8 targets a game last year, and he won you a lot of money if you played him in best ball or regular redraft, whatever. He was starting for me in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, that could very well be Antonio Gibson. He has top 20 upside on a weekly ranking if Ramondre is down for any stretch.
Luke McCaffrey is gone, so both of those receivers are gone. Of course, that's right? Fine. But just what you were saying about Zeke, one thing that I like doing is getting him and Rico Dowdle back to back as one of my stacking running back options. So getting those 2 guys, I think, is always good. I'm not against Wan'Dale Robinson. He is truly the number 2. I don't, and it's of course half PPR, so he's just going to be pelted with targets for like 4 yards. But at this point, he's the most proven of all the guys that are there, other than even over Neighbors, I guess, because Neighbors hasn't done it yet. I don't know who else you like in this range, though.
I think Wan'Dale is probably the pick here. I will say the guy that went before us, JJ McCarthy, he is, to me, undraftable in best ball at the very moment because we know at the minimum he is going to miss the majority of the season just being backup. And I just don't think he's worth being a 15th, 16th round pick. If Michael Penix is basically the same, like I'm waiting until an injury
and
or what have you.
Cheaper. Way cheaper.
Yeah. And if you're going to take JJ McCarthy, you better take Sam Darnold. And nobody that's taking JJ is taking Sam Darnold.
Yeah. And Sam Darnold will start the first. Well, we talked about when will JJ come in. He'll probably start the first 10 weeks. I believe whenever they play Arizona.
That's week 13.
Yeah.
So, and if you draft your 15th round pick and he doesn't play until week 13, you probably didn't work out. Another person that just went off the board, Bucky Irving, didn't love him going to Tampa because it's the same exact type of running back, so it's not really a compliment to Rachaad White. But if he goes down, Rachaad White was a top 5 running back last year.
Really good handcuff.
And he was one of the most inefficient rushing the football. But in PPR leagues, he was a consistent monster. I think he had like a 12 straight games of 15 fantasy points or something of that nature.
It was awesome.
So, I missed out a lot of that because I just didn't really have a ton of faith.
He was in the dead zone last year, so not a lot of people wanted to take real shots on him.
You had to take him in the 60s, I believe.
Yeah, so it didn't feel worth it in best ball, but in fantasy, it worked out for fantasy managers. Couple picks away, this guy has 4 quarterbacks and 1 tight end. That's pretty crazy to me. He just took another one. What am I saying? Just got Geno, so we'll see what he does. The next one has 1 quarterback, so I'd expect him to probably, there you go, quarterback immediately. And then right here, we got a very balanced team, so we'll see what we can get. Wide receiver is probably the pick here. Just trying to pick your favorite one.
And also, if we didn't want to go the Michael Penix route, we've talked about, even though the schedule is rough, Justin Fields having the upside as a late round QB3. just because we know if he is starting, he is a top 10 option because of his legs.
Right.
So I don't know if we'll go that route. Uh, Seems like he'll be available at the 18th round, and I might prefer him over Michael Penix. But
Yeah.
at this point, I would just wait until that last pick.
What do you want to do here though? Wide receiver wise, Zay, Demario Douglas. I don't just
QZ, but it's an
yeah.
ugly range.
We can go Zay and get the Arizona. One of them will be wide receiver 2 there, so that'll be
Yeah,
okay.
basically, it's kind of like last year because you had the chance
Yeah.
in the 15th, 16th, 17th rounds for Tank Dell and John Mechie,
Mm-hmm.
which I know you took a stand on Dell and it worked out, but being able to get both and just like hopefully one of them works out, that's kind of a similar situation with Zay Jones and Michael Wilson. Is one of them should get 700 yards and 5 scores.
Right.
So
Absolutely. Let's see who's in here. A lot of Will Levis, backup tight end, Isaiah Likely, Khalil Herbert. Not sure what's going to happen in that offense. Noah Fant.
okay, so this is our 17th pick, right?
Yeah,
So
and
this is our last non-quarterback. And then filter to just quarterbacks real quick.
I put Justin Fields. He's 202.
Oh, okay, I see now.
And then we can get, if he goes off the board, we can get Michael Penix for free, basically. So
Yeah. So either way, I think we just go best available receiver. Scroll down a little bit so I can see a little bit more.
I like Tyler Boyd. Jalen McMillan could be a guy that gets a lot of run if someone goes down. They have
Rondell
two.
Moore having a double stack
Yeah.
as well.
Jalen Hyatt way down there. VS.
Either way, we're going to get our probable preference. I think Rondell Moore has more upside than most of those guys.
Yeah. I think that, what I was saying about Jalen McMillan, it's based on if one of the two guys gets hurt. It's possible. They're old. They've been hurt. It's not a surprise. Older receivers, I guess.
Another, we're just talking opportunity. Michael Gallup has been released, and he was just basically doing cardio last year, but he was on the field a lot. Jalen Tolbert projects to fill that and have those snaps, and he actually had a more productive year last year. So he's a former third-round pick that, contract year. You just hope that he just has opportunity to step in,
right? Of course,
with a high volume quarterback that was one of the top 5 producers last year. So
Tez Walker off the board,
which low volume
third
opportunity
option, fourth option probably right now.
And it seems like Baltimore just can't pick a second wide receiver to save their life.
We actually like Tez. I thought that it was a little too low draft wise, but it's just a really bad situation for him. Deontay Foreman. Come on. Leave some good players. Yeah, I think that, going with Rondale here and then I would put Justin Fields as our first option and then going Michael Penix after that. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
But either way, we have 2 guys already have taken 2 quarterbacks. Doubt they'll take a third because they actually took those fairly early, and then one of them took 4, and I don't anticipate a 5th one. And if that happens,
unless it's sabotage. Unless it's sabotage.
Exactly. So
Bryce Young. Okay, well, we weren't even.
It's fine with us. So yeah, we'll go with Rondell with our last skill player, and then we'll just take our favorite or the best available of the 2 that we have because one of them will be available, and if they're not both available, I'll be absolutely shocked.
Yeah, Justin Fields is the quarterback 29. It might feel like the draft when Michael Penix got overdrafted at the wrong place. If that happens. But yeah, quarterback 29 is still top 32. Yeah. We still believe in him.
And again, he's in our top 25, and it's not because we think he's going to start week 1. It's just because of these guys. If you need somebody to step in, if he's starting, he has 30-point upside.
Yeah, you need him
and
3 weeks.
I don't think Will Levis has the same upside, or Bryce Young, or enter your Derek Carr, or Geno Smith.
Right.
All these guys, even Aaron Rodgers, I don't think has that upside anymore, which could be a hot take. I don't know, but he hasn't had a 300 passing yard in over 1,000 days.
Yeah, and also on top of that, you got to look at like with Justin Fields, he has the rushing upside, which kind of fits what Underdog does too. I guess it fits everywhere, but Justin Fields wasn't necessarily a good football player last year. He was just okay. But he was a good fantasy producer, which makes you happy.
He had a 40-point game on Thursday Night Football.
49?
Yeah.
49.
Whatever it was.
Yeah, it was crazy because I had him. That's why I know, because I had him and DJ Moore, and that was one of the biggest.
Oh, yeah. That was.
Yeah, it was crazy.
He had 55, I think.
Yeah.
I think he won that week.
Insane. I think so too. And then who else had that crazy week for Brandon? I remember we have some guys. Achan and Mostert or whatever. However that happened, he had both or something. He just.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah, some amazing fantasy scores this last year. 40+ games by 2 players on the same team at running back. It's just. Yeah, when you put 70 points on, you should probably just be like, it's time to go. Or we might get him. Let's see if we don't get another freaking crazy.
This guy that's picking now just took a third quarterback with their last pick, so I don't think they're going to double quarterback. He's actually drafted pretty balanced, so I don't think he's trolling or anything.
He didn't troll. He left. He left and got Justin Fields. I swear. He left the chat and then got Justin Fields. That's amazing. I can't believe that. He literally left funny. And that was the top pick. Oh. He must have just said, this isn't worth it anymore.
That's funny.
I need to see his team. That is crazy.
But yeah, so we'll take Penix. He's literally not going to play, but it's security for Kirk Cousins. Again, we think he would have the same upside. I don't think Bo Nix, who on a weekly basis will be getting 13 to 14 points, or Gardner Minshew.
Right, of course.
Like, he has occasional games of getting 24, but
Sam Darnold down there.
I don't think there's certainty that Gardner Minshew can keep the job over Aiden McConnell if he's having a good preseason.
Right.
Russell Wilson, we don't anticipate keeping the job the whole year. That would have been really fun to have Justin Fields. But in terms of Underdog, we know that in the 17th, 18th round, we can get Justin Fields, which is a great last pick for your team. So we'll probably be very highly exposed to him on Underdog. But that kind of wraps up our 1.0 for Underdog. We'll kind of give a recap of our team if you wanted to scroll down on it.
Yeah.
You can actually go to the draft board, I think.
Where is that? Let's see. Draft board. Oh, right there. Okay. Got it. Oh, it completed. Hold on.
Well, that's fun.
Results. NFL. And which one? Whoa. Nope. I guess it's just gonna. I'm not exactly sure how to run this yet, so we're just gonna let it go.
Well, it might take some time. It's early in the process, but yeah, that wraps up our situation. We basically got Indy stack with Michael Pittman and Anthony Richardson, and then a double stack with
Kirk Cousins, and Michael
Penix, and then Pitts and Rondale Moore. Went 2 running backs in the first 4 rounds. We're really happy about Saquon and ETN being just the main guys. More likely to do situations or scenarios like that when we, are on a half PPR non-bonus type of best ball draft. But we appreciate you guys tuning in with us. Please like, comment, subscribe. All those good things. We keep on growing every single day. This is the funnest part of the year for me. I know the draft was a great time, scouting, learning all these guys, but fantasy football is what, we live and breathe over the next 3 months when sports has some downtime. So it's this and NASCAR, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, we play a lot of different, betting things, but, football has always been the thing we go to at the end of the day. Lots of really fun things to get into, of course, because, at the end of the day, last season, you had all the injuries for quarterbacks. You have random Puka Nakuas and things like that. And so it's so cool to see how the year changes every, just like while playing DraftKings, it goes from someone that's $3,000 and then the next week they're $4,500 and then all of a sudden they're $8,000 and it's like, holy crap. Okay. But, we really appreciate y'all coming and hanging out. We'll be releasing more best ball for both DraftKings and Underdog, and then we'll also be doing all our fantasy positionals, all of our we're going to start auction draft stuff, so it'll be awesome.
And then we're in the transition, because you can't be owning multiple like fantasy platforms and be running them, because it's not allowed. You'll get your account locked. So we're in the process of removing, deleting, and then transitioning the information to other accounts. And so we'll have some promo codes for you that have not signed up for this platform. You'll have deposit matches, and we'll walk you through those promos when we get to that. We'll write it up and sound pretty robotic and fun. But if you did want to participate and put in some money and time into it, there's fun bonuses for both platforms, and it's just a lot of fun. And we'll be on that all the rest of the year.
Yeah, and y'all can we'll have some times where we do live streams and y'all can draft with us. We'll make sure to get it out there and stuff. So that'll come up. We like we said, we appreciate y'all being here, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you.